Hello everyone, this is Doc from the Wealth Boardroom. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to embark on an enlightening exploration of money habits, scrutinizing the contrasting practices between the rich and the poor. We'll delve into the complex dynamics of wealth accumulation and poverty, scrutinizing how the spending patterns of the less fortunate inadvertently contribute to the wealth of the affluent. By understanding these intricacies, we can work towards a more equitable future. So, without further ado, let's dive into this intriguing topic. Firstly, let's discuss the money habits of the rich. What sets apart the wealthy from the rest? It's not just about the size of their bank accounts, but more importantly, how they manage their money. The rich are known to focus on buying assets and eliminating liabilities. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out of it. The rich understand this difference and use it to their advantage. They invest in assets that generate income even when they're not actively working. This includes stocks, real estate, businesses, and other forms of investments that yield passive income. Moreover, the rich don't just spend their money, they make their money work for them. They understand the power of compound interest and the role it plays in wealth accumulation. They let their money grow over time, reaping the benefits of patience and long-term planning. Another critical habit of the rich is that they prioritize savings. They understand that a penny saved is a penny earned. They allocate a portion of their income to savings before spending on anything else. This way, they ensure they have a safety net and funds for future investments. Budgeting is another cornerstone of the rich's financial habits. They plan their spending and stick to it. They are mindful of their money and where it goes. They avoid impulsive buys and focus on needs rather than wants. Lastly, financial planning is a key aspect of their money management. The rich understand that wealth is not about how much you earn, but how much you keep and grow. They set financial goals and create a plan to achieve them. They consult with financial advisors, accountants, and lawyers to ensure they are maximizing their wealth and minimizing their liabilities. As we can see, the rich are strategic and intentional with their money. They understand the value of money and use it as a tool to build and sustain wealth. Their habits reflect a mindset that views money not just as a means to an end, but as a way to create opportunities and secure their future. Now let's turn our attention to the money habits of the poor. It's often said that the poor spend money they don't have, to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't know. But is this the whole story? Let's delve deeper. One of the main financial habits of those in poverty is spending on liabilities and depreciating assets. In simpler terms, these are things that lose value over time or cost money to maintain. This can include things like cars, gadgets, and other consumer goods. While these items might bring immediate satisfaction or seem necessary, they don't contribute to long-term wealth accumulation. Now, let's talk about debt. For many living in poverty, debt is a constant companion. High-interest loans, credit card debt, and payday loans can trap individuals in a cycle of borrowing, where they're always playing catch-up. This is what is known as predatory lending, where lenders exploit the financial hardship of the borrower, charging exorbitant interest rates and making it nearly impossible to break free from the debt cycle. Then, we have conspicuous consumption. This is the act of purchasing goods or services to display wealth or income. The paradox here is that often those who can least afford it spend the most on these status symbols. These purchases, rather than building wealth, only serve to deplete resources further. Lastly, we can't ignore the systemic barriers that prevent upward mobility for the poor. These include lack of access to quality education, affordable health care, and well-paying jobs. It's a harsh reality that those born into poverty often remain in poverty due to these structural inequalities. So, how do these habits contribute to the cycle of poverty and the accumulation of wealth for the rich? When the poor spend their money on liabilities and depreciating assets, they're essentially transferring their wealth to the rich, who often own the companies selling these goods. Furthermore, high-interest debt payments further enrich lenders, who are typically wealthy individuals or corporations. Conspicuous consumption also feeds into the wealth of the rich, as they are the ones profiting from these unnecessary purchases. Unfortunately, these habits often result in a cycle of poverty and wealth concentration. But it's not all doom and gloom. By understanding these habits and their implications, we can begin to make better financial decisions and break the cycle. Stay tuned as we explore how the poor can change their financial habits and how the rich get richer. So, how do the spending habits of the poor contribute to the wealth of the rich? Well, let's delve into the complexities of poverty and wealth accumulation. The first aspect we need to examine is consumer behavior. Now, it's important to understand that consumer behavior is not just about what we buy, but also about why and how we buy it. In many cases, those experiencing poverty tend to make purchases that provide immediate satisfaction or relief from their stressful situations. This could range from a fast food meal to a new pair of shoes. However, these purchases, while providing temporary happiness, are often liabilities or depreciating assets. Liabilities, in financial terms, are things that take money out of your pocket, whereas assets put money into your pocket. A new pair of shoes, for example, is a liability. It might make you feel good in the moment, but it doesn't contribute to your long-term financial health. It's a depreciating asset that loses value over time. Now, let's contrast this with the spending habits of the wealthy. The wealthy, more often than not, invest their money into assets. These could be stocks, real estate, or businesses, things that appreciate in value over time and generate income. So, when the poor spend their money on liabilities and depreciating assets, who benefits? The answer is the rich. The rich are the ones who own the companies that produce and sell these goods. Every time a liability or depreciating asset is purchased, it's money going into the pockets of the wealthy. Moreover, the poor are often targeted by predatory lending practices. These are practices where lenders impose unfair and abusive loan terms on borrowers, high interest rates, hidden fees, and loans that are nearly impossible to pay off keep the poor in a cycle of debt, effectively funneling their hard-earned money into the coffers of the rich. But it's not just about individual spending habits. Systemic barriers also play a role in this wealth accumulation. For example, lack of access to quality education, healthcare, and job opportunities can prevent people from escaping poverty and building wealth. And then there's conspicuous consumption, the purchase of goods or services for the specific purpose of displaying wealth or social status. It's a cycle that perpetuates the economic disparity as the poor strive to emulate the rich, often living beyond their means and sinking further into debt. So, this is how the poor, through their spending habits and the systemic barriers that they face, contribute to the wealth of the rich. It's a cycle of wealth accumulation, where money flows from the bottom of the economic ladder to the top. It's a complex and often overlooked aspect of our economic system. As we conclude, let's reflect on what we've learned today. We have delved into the intricate dynamics of wealth accumulation and distribution, and how the spending habits of the less fortunate inadvertently contribute to the enrichment of the wealthy. This is a complex issue, one that is deeply rooted in economic disparities, consumer behavior, and systemic barriers to upward mobility. We discovered that the wealthy and the poor have vastly different money habits. The wealthy tend to invest in assets, things that appreciate in value over time or provide a steady stream of income. They focus on eliminating liabilities and growing their wealth. By contrast, those in poverty often find themselves purchasing liabilities and depreciating assets, often due to lack of financial literacy or systemic barriers that limit their options. We also touched on the role of debt and predatory lending in perpetuating these wealth gaps. Conspicuous consumption, or the buying of goods and services to display wealth or income, is another factor that can exacerbate the cycle of poverty. But it's not all doom and gloom. Knowledge is power, and understanding these dynamics is the first step towards breaking the cycle. Financial literacy, responsible money habits, and systemic changes can help level the playing field and create a more equitable distribution of wealth. So, what can you do right now? Start by educating yourself about personal finance. Understand the difference between assets and liabilities, and make informed decisions about your spending. Avoid debt traps and predatory lending. Remember, every small step you take towards financial literacy and responsible money habits brings you one step closer to financial freedom and wealth accumulation. Thanks for joining us today at the Wealth Boardroom. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with more financial insights. Until next time, keep building your wealth.